Hi, my name is Helen Nguyen, chef and owner of Saigon Social, a Vietnamese restaurant in the Lower East Side. Today we're going to be making Bánh Cuốn, a steamed Vietnamese rice roll. So first off, we're going to start with the batter. What we have here is rice flour and tapioca flour. If you remember when we made bánh xèo with the rice flour, it has like a very nice light crisp to it. The tapioca flour is going to give you a little bit more elasticity. Roughly equal parts of rice and tapioca, and then a little bit of salt, add some water, and then a little bit of oil. Well, so first off, let's talk about bánh cuốn. Bánh means cake. To me, it actually also means, it's like a noun that you use to describe a Vietnamese starch. And then cuốn means to roll, so it's a steamed roll rice cake. So we're gonna let this sit aside for, let's say, about an hour or so. So while that happens, we're going to work on our filling as well as our garnishes. So we're gonna start with a filling. First off, we have some black fungus or wood ear mushroom. It's dehydrated, so we're gonna need to hydrate it. Some hot water, just let it sit. Let's start off with the shallots. Just gonna mince. So bánh cuốn is found all over street vendors in Vietnam, and depending on the regions, they vary in filling, in garnish, and then also in style of like rolling as well too. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. We're going to sweat the shallots as we cut the garlic, and then we'll add it all together. So this filling that we're making today that consists of mainly ground pork and wood ear mushroom is pretty traditional and pretty classic. I would say that it's like the standard filling that people use, although a lot of people who are vegetarian will use mushroom substitutes. You can also do grilled pork or grilled lemongrass beef, which is my favorite. So by now our mushrooms, as you can see, they've bloomed and they're fully hydrated. I feel like wood ear mushrooms is an essential in Vietnamese cooking when it comes to any kind of filling. You talk about your summer rolls, or spring rolls, or whatever, however you want to call them. I also like using them in a lot of soups as well too, because they're so versatile in that you can leave them whole and give your whatever it is that you're cooking like a really nice texture, or you can mince it like we're doing right now. And it makes for a really good filling and complements any kind of like protein or vegetable that you'll be using. Let's add a little bit more oil. And then at this point, let's add our ground pork, some sugar, salt, fish sauce, some pepper. I like my filling peppery, or maybe a little touch of habanero peppers if I have any on hand, just because I really like the kick. So this filling you can use for, well, obviously like in raw form, you can roll your spring rolls or your fried spring rolls. During Thanksgiving, we actually use this to stuff our turkeys. So it's like a Vietnamese stuffing versus your regular bread. My mom likes to add water chestnuts or daikon just to give it a little bit more texture. I know this is like a lot of pepper, but you're gonna thank me later. So at this point, the ground pork is cooked through. A lot of people like stopping at this point just because they like the soft texture of the ground pork as it is right now. For me, I like to let it go a little bit further just to give it a nice sear and crunch. So as we're letting this slowly caramelize, we can work on our scallion oil. I like to cut my scallions a little bit thicker just because you want to be able to taste the actual scallion, and you're not using it just as a garnish. Whenever you hear a word bánh, right, starch, then automatically you need fried shallots, number one, and then scallion oil, number two. So you can see that it's starting to get a little bit warm or hotter, so you want to take it off the heat. Some fish sauce. If you have any vegetarians in the house, a substitute you can use is just a little bit of salt, and really it's to taste, and a little bit of pepper. So we can set this aside. Ooh, this guy is. So it's nice and brown. And then let's transfer this guy. Okay, so now we're going to make the nước chấm. Let's start with the garlic first. Nước chấm is pretty standard in Vietnamese cooking as well too. I feel like every family has a different version of it. Slice some limes. Growing up, both of my parents worked a lot. I spent a lot of time with my cousins and my neighbors, and we would always play restaurant and play house and, you know, kind of just cook for ourselves. When they were home, I'd always ask them what they're like, you know, oh, what do you put in this? And they would just basically a little bit of this, a little bit of that. No one ever had any recipes. Everything was just by taste, by feel, by touch. And so that's what we did. So what I'm doing here is what my mom does, a little bit of fish sauce. How much is it? I don't know, just a little bit, right? And then we're gonna add some water just to dilute it, and sugar. We're heating it up so that we can dissolve the sugar. So as the sugar is dissolving, we're going to add the garlic, okay? Lots of chili, probably not enough. We'll figure that out later. I'm going to turn off the heat because I don't want to boil it. We just want it to dissolve. I don't like the garlic too cooked. Lime juice. Ooh. So yeah, growing up with my cousins, we played restaurant a lot. And it was my favorite thing because I was the only girl in the family growing up until my sister came along 10 years later. And it was the only thing that we played that I got to be the main star of, because it was usually G.I. Joe, and then we'd play like games and puzzles or whatever. And the kitchen was like, okay, this is what, you know, this is what I'm good at. While that's cooling, we should blanch the bean sprouts for about 30 seconds. You want it to soften up a little bit, but you don't want it to overcook because we still like that texture. So we have our bean sprouts there, and then let me do the cucumber first. I'm going to cut them on bias. So now we're going to work on the herb part of it. Like I said, you can either keep it whole. I like to chop them up just so that with every bite you get a little bit of everything, and it's just not, you know, too overpowering. Okay, so now let's talk about Jello, Vietnamese mortadella. For every other dish, I like slicing these very thin. For Bánh Cuốn, I like the slices a little bit thicker so that you can actually taste, you know, the meat and the texture with every bite. I think it complements it very well. Let's start making crepes or cuốn. You don't want it too high because you don't want to fry your batter. We're essentially steaming. What I like to do is, I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil. Just gonna brush the surface so that the rice roll does not stick to the cutting board. So before every ladle of batter, make sure that you give the batter a good stir just so that there isn't any settlement. And the idea is to have a very thin layer. So I think the very important thing about making any kind of rolls or crepes and Vietnamese cooking especially is really getting to know your equipment, the size of the pan. Obviously the size of the pan will determine like the size of the ladle. Are you using 2 ounces, you're using 4 ounces, and the idea is that as you're ladling it, you want to be able to cover as much surface as possible within like the shortest amount of time so that, you know, it's even cooking, it's nice and level. Because there's no oil, you're not frying it. And then with the lid, like the lid cover, you know, it can't really evaporate, so the steam is getting trapped in there. So what it's doing is it's cooking the bottom as well as the top too. Yay! Okay, so if it rolls up like this, just quickly pull it down. So then let's build. Pork, wood ear. I have my scallions here. Oop. And then we flip. And then we roll. So here we have 3 rolls. What I'm gonna do is just gonna cut them in the middle. Okay. Transfer them on to the plate as such. Cucumbers first. Bean sprouts. Chiffonade of basil and mint, a beautiful scallion oil, some fried shallots, our Jello mortadella, and voila, there you have it. All right, let's try some bánh cuốn with mắm chấm. It's nice, it's soft, taste the crunch of the wood ear. Super savory, scallion oil, shallots, bean sprouts, cucumber, and Jello. For the recipe, click the link below and come visit us at Saigon Social. My dad definitely is a better bánh cuốn than I am. Bánh cuốn, who says that? Bánh cuốn, a person that makes bánh cuốn.